An Erios original.
Hello and welcome to Web Crawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite unsolved mysteries. Each week we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. Who knows, we might even solve the case. I'm Allie Siegel.
And I'm Melissa Stetton.
First, a bit of exciting news. Web Crawlers now has a Patreon.
Woohoo!
Every dollar will help us continue to create high-quality, well-researched shows with exciting guests for our listeners. Our patrons will receive rewards, bonus episodes, videos.
Ooh,
Not
those
even
kinds of
kind of
videos.
those videos.
But maybe if you pay a lot.
Yeah, depending on how much you pay. Shout outs and merchandise discounts. And I don't want to brag, but I'm like an incredible artist. And some of the merch includes my art originals signed by both me and Melissa.
I'm excited.
For when we're famous, and then they'll be priceless. You'll have both of our autographs, which is insane.
So it'll be worth more than the however much money
They'll
you pay.
appreciate, is what they say in the art world.
You'll have to get insurance for them. That's how expensive
Yes,
they'll be.
please insure. Anything that you get from our Patreon needs to be insured 100%, or else someone's going to steal them from you. So to contribute, please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. Before we dive into our main story, we're going to start off with a weird thing that we discovered this week, which actually is the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Is it? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I heard the actual thing on YouTube, but also I've heard of this, like people actually doing this and hearing scary things.
Yeah. So this is something I found, I think it was posted originally maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And it's this woman who had been using the sleep app for a few months to record her like snoring and her movements and her sound.
Which is weird in general to do.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, but there is an app called Sleep Talk.
Yeah.
It just records you and it like picks up on like movements or whatever, like snoring or whatever.
Do you do that in your sleep? Do you do weird stuff in your sleep?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you told me the other day that you...
Oh, yes. I wake up screaming a lot. A lot.
Why? Like, what does Martin do?
He like a few days ago, I remember having a bad dream where I was like stuck somewhere and I woke up at 6 a.m. He was like pushing my shoulder.
Oh my
and I woke
God.
up and I was like, stop. It's like, why are you pushing me? He's like, because you were screaming. It's like, oh.
Do you want to hear a really
remember.
embarrassing story?
I'd love to.
I don't talk in my sleep, or I don't do anything in my sleep as far as I know. But my senior year of high school, I was having my first sleepover with my high school boyfriend.
Uh-oh.
And this is so embarrassing.
No.
I farted so loud in my sleep that I woke both of us up.
Oh, no.
It was so embarrassing. He thought it was like funny and cute for some reason.
Oh, no, I would kill myself.
I wanted to die. I was the most embarrassing thing. And since then, I'm like, I don't think I've like had a sleepover with a guy since. I mean, I have, but I'm so paranoid. I'm like weird about it now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was traumatic.
Oh, no.
I think more traumatic than sleep paralysis.
Probably more traumatic than seeing a demon in your sleep.
It is a more dramatic phenomenon than
I
sleep
believe
paralysis.
it. I'm sure I farted him. Oh, anyway,
So back to, that's not what this podcast is
back
about.
to this woman. So she was sleeping in her bed with her 3-year-old. It was just the two of them in the house. And
Co-sleeping.
co-sleeping. And the next day she went through her recordings. There was one at 2:04 a.m. In it, you can hear these like clicks that get louder over the course of the recording. And then eventually you can hear her saying, "What are you doing?" And immediately after, there's a deep voice that says, "Nothing." The clicks get louder. And at the end of the recording, you hear the same voice say, "That's them." And the recording is on here. So let's go ahead and play it real quick.
Let's play it.
what?
Oh my God.
So it's like these clicks and she says, what are you doing? And then a very deep voice is like, nothing.
That sounds like a burglar. I mean,
yeah. So she posted that. People on Reddit, like audio engineers, started dissecting the audio to test what the frequencies were. Because some people are like, well, maybe it was your son. Maybe it was you talking to yourself.
I mean, isn't her son 2 years old?
3.
That's a low baritone.
But then the frequency.
Boss baby.
Yeah. Boss baby. Hey, Mom.
Doing a business.
But, the frequency was very low. It was like at 90 or something, which is like the frequency of a man's voice. And her voice was at like 250 or whatever. But then someone was like, oh, what if it's 2 burglars? Because someone says that's them.
Yeah.
What if they're talking to another person like, oh, that's them?
Oh, like them sleeping in the bed.
Yeah. And so she continued to record, but like she heard nothing. And people are like, well, what if it's like your ex-husband? And she's like, he would never do that. Like, that's crazy. And like...
Also, she probably would have recognized that voice.
Yeah. And so she ended up moving 4 months later.
I would have too.
Because she was so freaked out.
That's insane.
Yeah.
My brother told me this crazy story once. I should ask him about it. His friend moved into a house and then Alexa started talking or whatever it's called.
Oh, no.
And started saying weird stuff about the house. Like, don't go into the locked room. Or like, yeah, like crazy stuff. Or like,
what the hell?
Do you know what happened in this house? Or like weird stuff. I need to ask him.
Yeah, we need an interview with that person.
Yeah. He said it was like really scary and that the people like didn't know what happened, and it was.
I've heard of Alexa like just saying things at random times of the day.
It's like when the Furbies went crazy in the 90s.
Yeah,
do you remember
Furbies.
that? Yeah, like the Furby uprising.
Oh yeah, weren't they saying like really weird things?
Yeah, and they started like swearing and stuff.
Oh right.
Maria, our producer,
How did
looks
that happen?
terrified out of her mind. She's just ran out of the room crying.
Maria, it's okay.
Maria, it's going to be fine.
I didn't run out of the room. I'm here.
Maria, it's okay.
She came back really fast.
Maria.
Okay.
Anyways, if you're listening, you should download the Sleep Talk app.
I've used it a bunch, and all I've heard is like snoring or like rustling of the sheets. But I'm afraid to use it.
I know. I don't think I can use it. I'm too afraid.
I kind of want to, but if anyone has used it, or people should use it, and then
use it and send in your recordings.
Yeah, because it's the app that lets you like download it and you can like send it to whatever. And then there's like the best of, where people make their recordings public.
Oh my
and
God.
there's like they're mostly funny.
Yeah,
it's mostly just people like
saying
gibberish. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I got Reiki the other day, and the woman told me there was a demon attached to my body that she removed. She said it very casually. Yeah, she was like, do you have problems with your knees and like your back? And she's like, and also I removed the dark force that was attached to you. And then she like kept talking.
Just casually.
Yeah, and then I was like, hold up.
What?
Yeah, it was like she said it like it's just something normal she does all the time. So I'm not doing this sleep talk.
Well, I did this. I got rid of the demon that was following around, and then you had headaches too, right? Your knees hurt. Wait, I'm sorry.
I was like,
a demon?
Excuse you? Should we get on to our main story?
Yeah, let's talk about our main story.
Imagine if you or your significant other woke up every night screaming.
It began with a blood-curdling scream.
It's called sleep paralysis, and it's a true waking nightmare.
They're terrifying, anxiety-provoking.
Terrifying. Just terrifying.
Something pressing on your chest, choking or assaulting you.
Today we're going to be discussing night terrors and sleep paralysis. Night terrors are episodes of screaming, intense fear, and flailing while still asleep. Sleep paralysis is a feeling of being conscious but unable to move. It occurs when a person passes between stages of wakefulness and sleep. Some people report feeling pressure or a sense of choking, while others have actually seen a shadow demon looming over them. There's other like hallucinations and creatures too. What is this creature, and why do so many people report seeing the same thing? Is it a hallucination, an actual demon that breaks into your home? We have some theories. Have you ever had a night terror?
Well, I've had many night terrors, and I've had
screaming.
Yeah, where I just wake up where I am stuck somewhere, or I have had dreams where I have killed people, when I've had to bury their bodies, and then like I got caught.
Oh my God. Melissa.
Mostly in the past couple years, I've been having really bad dreams. Like I don't have good dreams anymore.
This is dark and sad.
And there's so much anxiety.
Really?
Where like I have to get out of somewhere, or someone's chasing me.
Do you think you're remembering past lives?
Probably.
This is terrifying.
It really is. Like sleeping is
a burden to your life.
Yeah, but it comes in like phases. Like a few months ago, there was like a few weeks where I would wake up every night screaming or just yelling. And I wouldn't really remember everything that I was dreaming, but I remember like the feeling of like, oh, thank God I'm awake.
Have you talked to anyone about this?
Yeah, I've talked to my therapist about it.
What does she think?
She's like, it's just stress and anxiety, and
oh my
could
gosh.
be it's a side effect of medication.
Oh, I guess that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
And
Gummy vitamins are really intense.
Yeah, it's pretty. And I've had sleep paralysis.
Okay, yeah. So what?
The first time I had it,
Oh my God.
I was 16 or 17.
Oh my God.
So I was up all night. I was at a rave. Look, this is the night probably I've taken the most drugs ever in my life. Was like, sorry, Mom, if you're listening. I was like 16 or 17. I was at a rave with my friend Lizzie, and the guy who ran the rave was her boyfriend at the time. And like the guy from Wu-Tang was there, something, whatever. The rave got shut down. He gave us this backpack. He's like, meet us at this hotel. We take this backpack. We go to her house. We open the backpack. It's just like full of money. And we're like,
what?
Yeah,
Sorry.
from like the rave. And we're like, do we just take this money? We're like, no, he knows where we live.
Right.
So we go meet him at the hotel. And it's like midnight.
The guy from Wu-Tang Clan gave you a bag full of money?
The guy who was running, who was like a rave promoter. Wu-Tang was, I think it was like the RZA was like performing at this rave.
Got it.
And so this has nothing to do with sleep. Well, we go to the hotel. It's like midnight, and we're like, well, what do we do? And like some people were there, and we're like, well, we have some ecstasy like left over from the party.
Yeah.
So we all like take ecstasy, and we're just like hanging out. And then like a couple hours later, it's like, well, let's take more. And then, you know, once you start doing ecstasy, you're like, let's take more. Let's take more. By like 7 a.m.
Classic.
We had, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 pills or something.
Holy shit.
And like ecstasy at the time was like just becoming popular. People were mixing it with all sorts of crazy shit. There was probably
fentanyl.
I don't know if it was fentanyl yet, but it was most likely meth and whatever. And it was like noon by the time we like left, and I was just like get home. I go to sleep. I live with my parents still. I'm in high school. Yeah. I go to sleep right before I was falling asleep, and then like my eyes were open, and all of a sudden I started seeing these like vines growing over.
Okay, do you think that maybe this is a drug hallucination?
Well, that's what but it's weird. Most likely. I mean, I wasn't still tripping at the time, because like I drove home and I was like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
But there were these vines growing over me, and I couldn't move.
Interesting.
And I couldn't move, and then I saw in the corner of my room this dark like cloud was like there, and I was still, and I was like trying to move my feet, and like I remember my arms shaking.
Holy shit.
And it was like all these like colored weird things growing on top of me, and then like all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, and like I turned on the light in my bedroom, and I had to sleep with the light on.
Yeah, that's so scary.
So I had taken a lot of drugs at the time. But also that was the scariest. But also I've had things where I just like wake up and like your body isn't fully awake yet, but your brain is awake.
Oh my God.
That was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
My brother had night terrors growing up.
Oh.
Yeah. He had dreams, or he was like half awake, half asleep, and he wouldn't be able to move his body, and there'd be a witch or like a demon at the bottom of his bed trying to eat his toes.
Oh no. Oh no.
All through his adolescence. And then he'd also like sleepwalk or like fight, and like my mom, you're not supposed to wake someone up, I guess, who's having like sleep paralysis or night terrors or whatever. But then he ended up writing a book about it called Nightmares. So that's cute for like why
It's cute.
for like young adults.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, who are like dealing with night terror stuff.
Oh, that's crazy.
But something interesting that I remember is that he had really bad OCD, and he also got strep throat a lot. And I guess there is some correlation between like strep throat, OCD, and sleep paralysis.
Oh, weird.
Like whatever the bacteria is or virus that gives you strep throat,
Right.
or affects your tonsils or adenoids or whatever it is that's in your throat, affects your sleep because it affects the amount of air that's going in your your sleep tubes.
Sleep
your
tubes?
swallow sleep tubes.
Your sleep tubes.
Your sleep tubes. And then that affects like your whole like sleep apnea and all that kind of stuff. So it affects like your REM sleep and things like that. And that's how sleep paralysis and night terrors can happen.
Interesting.
Because you're not getting enough air or something, and then you get into a weird...
Right, because it's not your body, or it's your body.
So my... Listen, I'm not a doctor, but listen, I'll just say it theory early. Did you just find something?
Well, this is producer Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hey, how's it going? Good.
Hey, are you done crying?
I remember seeing something on TV about this, about how, like, and I just found this article on Cosmopolitan. My son almost lost his mind from strep throat. Like how kids go, if left untreated, they can go a little crazy.
Yeah.
He, like this kid, his mental condition devolved scarily fast. He was tormented by constant intrusive thoughts about death and disaster. They carried a surreal edge. What if he woke up in the morning as someone else? What if their dog was an imposter?
Yeah.
And this is all because he had strep throat, and so a blood test given by a neurologist came back normal. So Melanie tracked down a psychiatrist to put him on an SSRI that helped combat obsessive compulsive disorder.
Oh my God, yeah.
Whoa.
The nurse told the mom about a childhood disease called PANDAS.
What?
PANDAS, also called PANS. And it's the pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with streptococcus. So it's a condition brought on by exposure to the bacteria that causes strep throat.
Oh, weird.
Though it may also be caused by a virus or a parasite. The disease turns the body's normal antibodies into dysfunctional ones that attack a part of the brain called the basal ganglia, which controls movement and thought. Bizarre behaviors result, often causing a misdiagnosis of purely psychiatric illness.
We just cracked the case.
What the? I've never heard of that.
Did you get strep throat a lot as a kid?
No.
Oh, fuck.
My sister did. My sister had her tonsils out. I don't think she was having night terrors, though.
I'm sure that's what happened to your brother, though.
Yeah,
crazy.
that must have been what happened to him.
Was he put on SSRIs?
No, but he had OCD.
Oh, right.
And he had strep a lot.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Autoimmune neuropsychiatric
And he had the night
disorder.
terrors. So I don't know. I mean, that can't be the blanket cure or the blanket, but there is some sort of correlation between strep throat, OCD, and night terrors and sleep paralysis.
Huh.
Psychologically or neurologically.
And just so you guys know, October 9th is Pandas Awareness Day.
Is there a
that's-
color we're supposed to wear or some sort
soon.
of
I don't know. I'll click on
Facebook
it.
avatar that we're supposed to change?
No color.
Melissa, what are some of the causes of night terrors other than strep throat and OCD?
Well, anxiety and depression, post-traumatic stress disorder can cause people to have recurrent nightmares. It can be caused by sleep apnea and restless leg syndrome. And also night terrors run in families, which is interesting. And then sleep paralysis. So what happens with that is the mind feels lucid and awake, but the body is still flooded with the chemicals that keep the body paralyzed during sleep. And so when that happens, people have reported hearing buzzing, humming, static, hissing voices, whispers, and roars. And people have also had feelings of being dragged out of bed, flying, or levitating. Between 8% and 50% of people have experienced sleep paralysis, and 5% experience it regularly.
That feels like a high amount to me.
Yeah, because 5% of how many billion people are in the world?
I literally don't know how to count or do math.
So hundreds of millions of people have it, which, I mean, I believe it.
I don't believe it.
And you don't believe
that
that's
sounds
a lie.
way too much for me.
There's no treatment for it. There's nothing you can do. It's just improved sleep habits, going to bed at the same time, avoiding caffeine, and they've actually tested GHB.
What's that?
For it. GHB is a drug that I have taken for fun in my life. It's the date rape drug.
You date raped yourself? Oh, is it like ketamine?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
It's similar. Yeah, when I was 16 or 17, I took a lot of drugs, and it was a liquid. We put in orange juice, and you drink it, and you're basically just like, you're extremely drunk. Like, you're out of it. You're just like, ugh. Like, I remember just like laying like backwards on the staircase, like, and everyone was like, we're fucked up. And then like throwing up profusely afterwards.
Oh my God, that sounds
but
so
GHB
fun.
is being used for depression, like tiny amounts of it.
Yeah, like the ketamine nose spray.
Yeah. Ketamine,
The last guy I dated microdosed ketamine.
Oh God, ketamine is crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was really stupid. He's like, I'm sober, but sometimes I do ketamine.
No.
That's not how it works.
Ketamine is fucking good. The one time I did it, I felt like I was like walking sideways in the room. Like,
oh really?
The room was like crooked.
Like that picture with all the staircases are weird?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
how it felt. It was fucking weird.
I bet the CBD people will say that it cures sleep paralysis.
Yeah, because the only treatment is just sleeping better.
Yeah, I'd be mad if someone told me that. The sleep paralysis demon, it's very common to experience a shadowy figure entering your room or outside the window, looming over you and sometimes choking you.
That sounds cool.
Sometimes he'll also have sex with you. Have you heard that?
What?
Yeah, sometimes the demon has sex with you. Sometimes it's like a succubus, like a sexual demon.
Oh God.
Anna Nicole Smith famously said that a ghost was having sex with her.
Oh right,
Do you remember that? Yeah, she said a ghost was having sex with her at night. Not being able to move activates your fight or flight instincts. Your vasovagal syncope is what I think it is. I don't know why you guys are laughing. I'm literally a doctor, which can intensify the effects of the threat response well above the level typical of normal dreams, which could explain why such visions during sleep paralysis are so vivid. People will attempt to breathe deeply and not be able to do so, creating a sensation of resistance, which causes you to panic, and your body interprets that as an unearthly being sitting on your chest trying to suffocate you.
God.
So this sensation of entrapment causes a feedback loop when the fear of suffocation increases as a result of not being able to move, causing people to struggle to end the sleep paralysis. So the more you struggle, the harder it gets.
Oh, that's what I felt.
So
like
crazy.
Trying to get out of it,
and
then you start panicking. You're like, I can't move. I'm dead. My body is dead. There's someone gonna eat me. And then like that just makes it so much worse. That's what a lot of people like say, like the weird demon in the corner.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Or sitting on your chest. Oh God.
Sleep paralysis, it's been around forever. Like there's instances in history. The earliest that I found on the internet was in 2400 BC. There's a reference to this thing called Lilith. It was called Lilitu, or the she-demon, and she bore children from her nocturnal unions with men. She was also known as Adam's first wife, who, rather than obey, became a demon that preyed on women during childbirth.
Sick.
In modern Middle Eastern maternity wards, some women still wear amulets for protection. The first clinical description was in 1664 by a Dutch doctor, and he referred to it as incubus or the nightmare.
Huh.
Not the band. There's a painting in 1781 by Henry Fuseli called The Nightmare, which depicts a demon sitting on the chest of a sleeping woman.
Yeah.
So people have been experiencing this forever. This is a weird thing, right? In 1977, it was discovered that more than 100 previously healthy people from various Southeast Asian communities had died mysteriously in their sleep from sudden, unexplained nocturnal death syndrome.
What?
No underlying cause was ever found, only that subsequent studies revealed a high rate of sleep paralysis and belief in the Dab Sog, which is the Night Hag, amongst members of the community.
That's what my brother saw, the Night Hag.
Yeah.
And that's what, a lot of, in what's that movie we watched, The Nightmare?
The Nightmare, yeah.
It's a cool documentary about night terrors.
Yeah, it's people describing.
And they say that the movie Insidious is about night terrors and sleep paralysis.
Right.
And that like the demon or the ghost in the movie Insidious is like the Night Hag from night terrors.
Also, during the Salem witch trials, several people reported nighttime attacks by various alleged witches that may have been caused by sleep paralysis. And in Mexico, it's believed that sleep paralysis is caused by the spirit of a dead person. The ghost lies on top of the body of the sleeper, rendering them unable to move. People refer to this as subirse el muerto, which means literally dead person on you. People used to think that black cats would sit on the chests of babies and suck out their breath.
Hot.
Yeah. Wes Craven got the idea of Freddy Krueger because he was obsessed with sleep paralysis and the fact that something in your dreams could kill you. Interesting fact. The first instance of someone saying a black cat killed their child was in 1791. A child of 18 months was found dead near Plymouth, and it appeared on the coroner's inquest that the child died in consequence of a cat sucking its breath, thereby occasioning a strangulation.
I wonder if that's where like a dingo ate my baby came from.
A dingo actually... You know that whole story. Those people made it up.
No, I don't know. What's the dingo ate my baby thing?
Well, it's this whole thing about the woman said a dingo ate her baby. Like they were on a camping trip or whatever. And then there's a whole trial about it.
Yeah.
And I think
Who were they suing? The dingo?
Well, people thought they killed their baby.
Oh, really?
Or it was like neglect or something.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember the outcome. Either they were accused of murder or they weren't. But something fishy about that was like, I remember reading about that, like, oh, fuck, this is a whole thing. It's like very dark.
Okay, sorry, I brought it up.
Chamberlain, the Lindy Chamberlain Creighton, who was the mother, she was imprisoned for 3 years after being convicted of the murder of her baby Azaria, but then was later exonerated.
Stop. Oh my God. This is even better. Meryl Streep played Chamberlain in the movie Evil Angels 1988, also known as A Cry in the Dark, in which she exclaimed, "The dingo took my baby." We have to insert a sound clip of that if we can find it.
Oh, I'll find it.
The dingo took my baby!
What?
It's a whole dark thing, that dingo story.
Yeah, sorry. We should stick with the cat sucking a breath out of a baby, which is much lighter. It's also cross-cultural. There are names for the sleep paralysis demon in many cultures and tribes that actually recognize this as real. The Shona culture of Zimbabwe calls them Madzikirira, which is an evil spirit pressing down. In the Islamic culture, it's called the Jinn, an invisible race similar to the humans who inhabit the earth. In Cambodia, it's the Kut Sukot, a ghostly figure holding you down. And in Turkish culture, it's the Karabasan, the dark presser.
So like every culture has, there's so many names for this thing, like all over the world. So every culture has like...
It's a phenomenon that happens everywhere.
Yeah. There's just this demon running around that everyone knows about.
Sitting on people.
Sitting on your face while you sleep.
There's a face-sitting demon, and we need to bring it to the light. So let's talk about the shadow people. They're dark silhouettes with human shapes and profiles that flicker in and out of peripheral vision. A common one is called the Hat Man, who wears a top hat and a suit.
Like the Babadook.
Oh my God. Yeah, like the Babadook.
Oh, is the Babadook based off of...
Oh, maybe the Babadook is about...
demon?
Sleep paralysis.
Oh, because he's wearing a top hat, right?
Yeah, gay icon of Babadook.
Yeah.
In 2001, on an episode of Maria, our producer who's crying favorite show Coast to Coast, Art Bell had a guest on talking about the shadow people.
The episode is said to have been the first time the topic was ever discussed. So over 4,000 people sent Art Bell emails and drawings of shadow people after he had this like guy on talking about like sleep demons and sleep paralysis. And they all had like similar visions and similar stories. One person said he saw a big black blob with red eyes. He was able to see his body in the bed, but was unable to move. Then his bed started to envelop him. And then another guy said he was being held down by these living ribbons being tied around his body around the bed.
That's like you,
what
Melissa.
I experienced.
Oh my God, that's like you on your E-trip.
I was coming down from a lot of drugs. Most likely there was meth. Yeah, another.
Do you want to try that sentence again?
I just remember that I wrote in here, another group of people who have reported seeing shadowy figures is meth users. Those are when people are like ODing on meth or they're like strung out on meth, they see people following them because they're super paranoid. And I'm like, well, maybe the drugs that I was taking
allowed you to see in this other realm.
For sure had meth in them. And so I was like, like seeing
other
weird
dimension.
things. Yeah.
How are all these people seeing the same thing and describing similar experiences? Is it just how our brains work? It's been described throughout history and different cultures. Are people just applying what they know of these stories to what is actually happening to them? Like with UFO abductions and aliens with almond-shaped eyes.
Yeah, like did someone say, like, create this monster? And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that is what it feels like when I'm sleeping. And now it's just this whole cultural thing of like, oh, yeah, it's the sleep demon.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that was just made up or like... But for me, I didn't know what sleep paralysis was when I first had that weird thing of like a shadowy creature.
Yeah, you're like, what's happening to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how everyone just describes aliens as being the same because they've seen it in a movie. And so now everyone just thinks they look similar. There's also a lot of scary sleep diseases that are similar. There's fatal familial insomnia, which is a rare genetic degenerative brain disorder, usually inherited, that causes an inability to sleep that may be initially mild but progressively worsens, leading to significant physical and mental deterioration. It usually kills people within a year.
That's frightening.
That's my worst nightmare.
Just not being able to sleep and then you just die.
Yeah.
Scary. That's crazy. But there's one called exploding head syndrome, which is not what you think it is.
Yeah, what the fuck? What is that?
It's when you hear loud noises and bombs crashing and cymbals when you fall asleep or wake up in the middle of the night. Have you ever experienced that? Or you just hear
have
like a
I
loud...
ever experienced exploding head syndrome? I feel like I would have mentioned that to you by now.
Well, maybe if you forgot that you heard like a loud bombing noise.
Have I ever heard bombs and cymbals in the middle of the night? No. Sudden unexplained death syndrome, people who die in their sleep.
Yeah, that's terrifying. There's Klein. Well, I first read it as
Kevin Klein
Kevin Klein syndrome. Klein-Levin syndrome. It's called sleeping beauty syndrome, where people just sleep all the time and they only wake up to eat or use the bathroom.
I think I do have that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I 100% have that. I don't have exploding head syndrome, but I do have sleeping beauty syndrome.
And now we actually have an interview with someone who has suffered from sleep paralysis and night terrors.
Thrived. With.
Thrived.
I like that. Not lived, but like...
You're thriving. You're thriving with paralysis
Welcome
and night terrors.
to the podcast, Steven Brydle.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks for being here on this hot Sunday afternoon in the Urios studio,
which does not have air conditioning
on the weekends.
Just kidding, on the weekends. Otherwise it does, and it's a gorgeous facility. We have it.
We can rag on Maria for not paying her AC bills.
Yeah, Maria, what the fuck? Maria's not having it. It's too hot to be jonesing with each other.
I'm happy that you guys thought of me as soon as you thought of night terrors. So,
well, yeah. I figured you would have.
Yeah,
you
for
probably
sure.
suffer the most of anyone I know. I don't know what that means.
Melissa, how did you know that Steven had night terrors?
Well, I sent out a text to the Pistol Shrimps text thread, and Steven's a part of the Pistol Shrimps text thread.
Yeah, and Molly said something too.
Molly said she had a weird Molly from Spermcast said she had a weird nightmare where like a child was like appeared and talked to her.
That doesn't happen to me.
Yeah. So what happens to you? What's your history of this?
This started when I was like maybe in young adolescence. I kind of didn't know what lucid dreaming was, and started like that. Kind of slowly over time in my teens, I think when anxiety had something to do with it, it started happening, and I didn't know. Like there wasn't the internet, or there weren't like books to like learn this stuff. So it was my thing. It was like something that was kind of secret that I didn't know how to tell people about.
What were the dreams like? Like what you said, it started as lucid dreaming. What did that entail?
I slowly learned over time that I had agency in my dreams, and I could make decisions and do things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the movie.
Yeah. It slowly built over time that I was comfortable being in control.
Yeah.
So when the night terrors started, it's a complete lack of control. A lot of people say it's like the old witch. You feel like somebody's like sitting on you. None of that made sense to me. I ended up reading about that, and it just seemed weird. It wasn't until I heard somebody describe how a mobster was killed by when they pour cement into like a barrel.
That's how it feels.
That's how it
gosh.
Like when I heard that described to me, I thought that's finally, I haven't like, that is how it feels.
That's terrifying.
So people have said it feels like a pressure on your chest.
Right.
So what it is a complete lockdown. I cannot control my body, but your mind is awake, and you can hear, and you are there. And what I would describe over like many years, I would wake up screaming because I had been fighting for maybe like 2 hours to try to move.
That
hours.
Yeah. And I was dating this girl at the time, and one night I woke up screaming, and she was shaking me. And she said, "You have been screaming with your eyes open for the last 30 seconds, and I can't get you to wake up."
Oh my fucking God.
That's so terrifying.
Holy shit.
So that's kind of when like it opened up, and I started talking about it.
Yeah.
And then kind of to put a barrier between how scary it is, I started telling it like, we would all get drunk, and I would talk about like, this is what happened, and everyone would get freaked out.
Like a scary story.
Yeah. And there are two events that happened that like, once I got comfortable doing these things, things happened, and those are the stories that I would tell that would freak people out. And so on the text chain, I had kind of said, like the synopsis of like, I experienced something that it's kind of gross and weird to talk about. So that's why you want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What are the stories? Yeah, what are the isolated events that you usually talk about?
So once I got comfortable and like learned to like, I would compare it to meditating, where you accept that you are not your body, that you're this like aware presence. And when you do that, then you can be okay with everything. And then I was obsessed with trying to open my eyes to see to see if I could control anything.
Yeah.
Or control my hand, try to lift my hand or do anything. So
what is that Leonardo DiCaprio movie that I'm thinking of?
Titanic.
No, it's the one where
who's eating Gilbert Grape?
No, the one where he goes.
Who's eating Gilbert?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Who's eating Gilbert's grapes?
Who's eating?
Who's
the
eating
one
the
where he
grapes?
goes into dreams.
Oh, Inception.
Inception.
Is it like that kind of?
Yeah, it's with a bank heist, and my crew shows up.
Your crew show up. Okay, continue.
So at the time, I was like, I had somebody in my bed.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend there who would kind of report like what she was seeing.
Was this a whole other girlfriend?
No, this was
same girlfriend.
Same girlfriend.
Okay, I was like, damn, you're a pimp.
What if I said no? It was somebody else, but not my girlfriend.
Okay, continue.
So she was hip to this whole thing, and she accepted me for my screaming and
That's so nice.
My paralysis. But she would kind of know when I was in that state because she could hear me kind of like I was getting some vocalization out. And one time I felt I had the agency to open up my eyes.
Yeah.
And it was starting, and I could see vision was coming to my eyes, and my eyelids are shaking. I don't know how to set this up. I'm just going to say it because I don't know how to explain it. But I opened up my eyes, and it was my room. But imagine if there were thousands of little glowing gnats that were swarming around the space of my room, but interacting with the walls and like all different colors. The room was completely dark, but that was illuminating everything.
Oh, weird.
So I don't have an explanation for that.
No.
But my rational brain says if your body's paralyzed and if it's receiving some sort of input, I don't know. Like it was receiving something and trying to make sense of what it was seeing.
Do you have any theories about what it could be?
Ghost gnats.
It's the only logical explanation.
It felt like if I were to be super mystical and we were going to be like hippy dippy about it, I could say something like, "It's the flow, man," or "It's the positive energy or negative energy, man."
Because I know some people are like, okay, it's aliens visiting you, or you're astral traveling to another dimension, or it's, other dimensions melding into yours, or, I don't know. People say such crazy things about what it could be.
Yeah. The second time I opened up my eyes, I was trying to control my hand. I was thinking, all I'm going to do is focus on lifting my hand. And in the attempt, it could have been like an hour. I don't know. Like, I was trying to move my hand and open up my eyes to see that my hand was raised. I thought it was only raised maybe a couple inches from where it was. But when I opened up my eyes, the same kind of thing again, it was raised toward the ceiling and like waving like someone was shaking it. And immediately closed my eyes, and I was paralyzed back in my body again. And I was like, what the fuck did I just see?
Oh my God, this is terrifying.
So, I mean, imagine like a puppet.
Yeah, you're like a marionette.
Yeah, like who's slowly learning how to do it for himself. Like that's what it looked like.
Oh, yeah.
So, I live with that.
So this still happens to you?
No, it stopped when that relationship ended.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then
was there a lot of stress happening in that?
That's real. Yeah, let's say stress. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that contributed to the amount of stress.
Wow.
And then I think you could make some correlation to like lack of control in my life. Or,
right.
I think I took it as a sign that something was wrong, something like I needed to process through something. And now it doesn't happen, but I still lucid dream.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like the bad part kind of went away. Mm-hmm. And now there's a purity to it. It doesn't happen all the time. And I can't remember the last time I was like night terrored.
Oh, wow.
like paralyzed in my bed. But yeah, it was like
that's crazy.
Maybe for 15 years. Like
this
was going on. Yeah.
How do you describe lucid dreaming? Like for people who might not understand what that is, like how does it look to you?
To me, I return to a scenario that I think I've been to, like you would say, like a dream.
Yeah.
Like we have a recurring dream or something like that. In the dream, I'll remember, right, I've been here and I understand how this plays out. And then I can deviate from that. And then the next step that I know is I can raise off the ground.
Whoa.
That sounds weird.
No, you're astral traveling. My grandma used to say that she could do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The first thing that I do when I know like, oh, this is a dream is whoever's there in the dream with me, I go, oh, watch. And I jump and then I stay up in the air.
That's so crazy.
And that sounds, I've never told anybody that.
It doesn't. I love it.
That's awesome. I would love to be able to levitate in my dreams like Chris Angel.
It feels like Chris Angel.
Mind freak.
It does.
My grandma always used to say, like, you can astral travel and the laws of the world don't apply to us. And I was like, I don't understand what that means. But it sounds like what? Like lucid dreaming is just like the laws. Maria's laughing. The laws of the world don't apply to me, Maria.
It's true.
That's such an audacious thing to say.
She lives in her own lawless world.
I live in a lawless land. That's literally something
She's
Trump
murdered a few
Trump
people.
would say. The laws of the world don't apply to me. Ali Siegel and Donald Trump.
What
horrible company.
What is her experience with it? Like how
my grandma was a psychic and a Reiki healer and an astral traveler, which is why I'm in a lunatic.
But I'm none of those things. Like I'm just
maybe you have the potential to be though.
Oh man, you're a wizard, Harry. I don't. I'm just a suburban kid from Arizona. I don't know.
You don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on, but I'll see in my dreams.
Yeah. Did you ever tell your parents?
I did because they could hear me.
Oh, right. Screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. And it became kind of a conversation, and I don't think they really even have like any idea of how to approach that and be like, we can be helpful.
Yeah.
I went to go see a doctor and they put me on Rosarum.
What's that?
Which is like it was the commercial with Lincoln and a beaver, but it was.
Oh my God, I don't remember. That sounds like the show Angry Beavers. What?
It's a sleep medicine.
Okay.
But,
is it like Ambien?
Yeah, I think so. And then I thought like maybe that was
what
was still happening.
Yeah, and I stopped taking it and it was still happening. So
right.
I don't know. I don't think it contributed to that, but I'm not an authority other than I've lived.
This has happened to you.
Other than it's happened to me. So you can either believe what I said or not. Find some other guy with some other story.
We did some weird research and we found that there's a bizarre correlation between strep throat and night terrors and sleep paralysis. Did you get strep throat a lot as a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
To edit those volumes down.
One more time, but quieter.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had asthma growing up, and then I had a lot of like breathing and respiratory things.
I wonder if that contributed to lack of oxygen getting to your brain.
No, totally.
Or
that's a totally good point.
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's the same with strep throat and tonsillitis and your asthma.
Bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that you're not getting enough air to your brain, and then you start like weird hallucinatory stuff.
Yes.
My mic wasn't in the right place.
Dr. Ali Siegel.
Well, that could very much be it.
Yeah. How's your breathing now?
It's amazing.
And then no more night terrors.
Well, they say you age out of asthma, and I was dealing with it up until like mid-20s.
Did you have it when you were with that girlfriend?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Guys, I'm not kidding. I am literally a doctor. and the laws of the universe don't apply to me.
I'm not kidding. I'm literally.
You're the doctor of this lawless world.
Yeah, this lawless land I live in. Incredible.
It's like Westworld.
Yeah.
So really only the people who I share a bed with know about this.
Right.
But then again, it hasn't happened in like maybe 5 or 6 years.
Oh, wow. You haven't woken up screaming or anything?
No.
Wow.
I can't remember a time that I was distressed while I was sleeping.
Right.
Amazing. So if you suffer from this kind of thing, then maybe the solution is meditation.
Yeah, that helped.
Yeah.
That a lot of different things I did to make this go away, like bettering my diet, better sleep schedules, all these things. But meditation, absolutely. Getting therapy.
Right.
Talking to somebody.
Breaking up with your significant other.
Yeah.
And separating yourself, it seems like, from your body when you're sleeping.
If you can separate yourself from your body to get away from your significant other, that's heaven.
That's perfect.
It takes it takes 15 years of practice. So yeah, maybe I was astral projecting the hell out of there.
Wow.
Good point.
Yeah.
All makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for...
Thank you, Dr. Siegel.
This was yes, that's my new. Can we switch things on the air?
Dr. Siegel.
Dr. Siegel and Melissa Stetton.
And the
web
nurse.
crawlers. Yeah.
Amazing.
Dr. Siegel and Nurse Stetton, web crawlers.
MD.
Where can people find you on the internet, or is there anything you want to pump or promote?
Steven is a very great artist, graphic artist.
Thank you. Yeah. Instagram, Steven Brydle. YouTube, Steven Brydle. All the available socials, Steven Brydle.
What's your Venmo?
Steven Brydle. I think it is. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Venmo him $1 if you like the story.
Yeah, if you'd like the story, Venmo him $1.
Oh, thanks, guys.
What do you think these shadow people, demon, witch hags are?
Okay, well, I do think that the strep throat thing could be it. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that like if you
interesting.
have strep throat a lot as a kid and get that parasite, and maybe it like lives inside your brain forever,
Oh, and it could create hallucinations.
and it can create hallucinations that you just like bring forth for the rest of your life. A lot of doctors diagnose it as schizophrenia,
Oh.
which I don't know if that's true.
Sleep paralysis is, I guess, the thing that doctors say it could most likely be is when your body or your brain is still in REM sleep, or your body is still in REM sleep and your brain wakes up, and there's like a weird disconnect for that moment between your brain awake and your body is still asleep.
Still
like the
asleep.
signals are kind of like messed up.
Yeah, I think it's the seeing things and the hearing things, the hallucinatory aspect that they attribute to schizophrenia, which I
Oh,
think
yeah.
is a little bit dismissive.
I have a theory.
Okay, yes, what is it?
So these beings could be stuck in another dimension
Oh, interesting.
and they're visiting us.
Which is
In
what
the
the
night.
movie Insidious was about.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's
I've
about
never
like
seen it.
these people are astral traveling, or they're astral traveling, and when their bodies are empty, like their souls are exiting their body, ghosts and like demons and poltergeists are coming into this realm and trying to inhabit
That makes
the empty
sense.
body.
Yeah, they're
So they
in
can
like
live again.
the fourth dimension. Or no, fourth dimension is time. The fifth dimension is sleep demons.
What are the dimensions? What's the 1, 2, 3?
You know, it's the first dimension.
No, I don't know this. Am I supposed to know all the dimensions?
You know the
I know
the
like
dimension.
first base, second base, third base.
Oh,
like first
boy.
base is you kiss, second base.
Area, length, width.
There's, if I may, there's the first dimension is length, like x-axis. This the second dimension is height. The third dimension is depth, which is why like 3D, like three-dimensional. Then the fourth dimension is time. The fifth and sixth dimensions are where the notion of possible worlds arises. If we could see on through the fifth dimension, we would see a world slightly different from our own that would give us means of measuring the similarity and differences between our world and other worlds. In the sixth, we would see a plane of possible worlds where we can compare. In the seventh, you have access to the possible worlds that start with different initial conditions. The eighth dimension again gives us a plane of such possible universe histories, each of which begins with different initial conditions. In the ninth dimensions, we can compare all the possible universe histories. In the 10th and final dimension, we arrive at the point in which everything possible and imaginable is covered.
Which I think is true. I think I think there are multiple dimensions, and I think that that's what aliens are.
Yes.
Which is what that guy said on Art Bell.
Yes.
He said they aren't like intergalactic, that they're interdimensional beings.
Yes. And so people who talk about their abductions,
Yeah.
there is a correlation between people having sleep paralysis and thinking they were abducted because they're shadowy creatures. Sometimes people are levitating.
Oh my God.
And there's people around them, like, you know, doing procedures.
Yeah.
So a lot of that could just be people having sleep paralysis, thinking they're abducted. Or the aliens are coming through another dimension
Yes.
and actually abducting them, but like in their sleep.
So maybe it could be either or. Maybe
Could
people
be
who
either
think
or.
they've been abducted are actually having sleep paralysis, or maybe people who
Yes.
have sleep paralysis are actually being abducted.
Well, it makes sense also because most abductions that people talk about happen at night.
At night.
Right.
Yeah, has anyone ever just been abducted during the day?
Huh. That is a good question.
That's
No,
weird.
right?
Yeah, but I don't think I've ever heard of a daytime abduction.
Huh. Gotta look into that.
Also, I heard something interesting yesterday, which isn't about sleep paralysis, but it just
hear it.
came up. That crop circles. Oh, are we boring you, Maria?
Did Maria just yawn?
Maria just gave the biggest yawn I've ever seen. Wow. Okay. Sorry. Cancel us.
I haven't had coffee. My stomach's grumbling.
That crop circles follow the Fibonacci sequence. Isn't that crazy?
The 1, 2.
I don't really know what the Fibonacci sequence is, but someone told me that, and it seemed important. Fibonacci sequence. Fibonacci sequence is what happens. Is like all of everything that happens in nature. Everything that's organic in nature follows the Fibonacci sequence.
Right.
And so do crop circles. So if crop circles were man-made, then they probably wouldn't follow the Fibonacci sequence. So crop circles.
Crop circles are crazy because they're so precise.
Right, which
That-
makes it think that they're not made by they're not hoaxes.
If they are made by man, they're so complicated to make that it's impressive.
Crazy. Well, now I'm on someone's Pinterest about crop circles. I don't want to be
Pinterest
here. I
about
don't want to
crop-
be
Ooh,
in
those are
some
neat.
influencer's Pinterest mood board about crop circles. I'm planning her
I have
wedding.
another theory about shadow people.
Yes.
Well,
let's
shadow
go back.
people are seen during the day. Shadow people
Really?
are not necessarily just seen at night, but like out of the corner of your eye. Like in your peripheral vision, you see like dark creatures.
Well, those are ghosts.
Those could be ghosts or time travelers.
Really? At Alien Con, we went to a time traveling seminar where a guy really passionately told us that we should never time travel.
It wasn't about how to time travel. It wasn't about cool things that could happen. It was do not do this.
Yeah, it was just a seminar about how he even said that we probably can't time travel.
Yeah, he's like, you could maybe go into the future, but don't go into the past because if you fuck up and you bring back diseases, there aren't going to be antibiotics for them.
Yeah, he also wasn't even like you can go into the future. He was just like the future's going to happen.
Yeah.
He was just like we're slowly moving towards the future, but whatever you do, don't go into the past.
And then he started talking about like, yeah, I grew up in Wisconsin and it was about
Worked
his
at the dollar
job. And I was like,
store.
who cares?
It was horrible. And he's
Who
like, also make
cares?
sure you vote. But the
Yeah,
one thing
vote.
he did say, the one thing he did say was that maybe Sasquatch is a time traveler.
Oh, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, he said because they never find any scat, which also just say poo.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird thing.
Yeah, he said they never find any scat or bones of Sasquatches, so perhaps they're interdimensional time travelers. Yeah, but sure, but also, yeah, maybe these dark, shadowy figures could be time travelers.
Yeah, and the woman on Reddit, maybe she was visited by a demon from a different dimension.
Oh, and that's who was talking.
Yeah.
Whoa, good.
Yeah.
Good circling back.
Yep.
That's good. Tight wrap up. Do you have any more theories?
I think that's it.
If you are listening, and also we'll tweet this today so you guys can do it, but you're listening to this in the future.
Then you're
And then I'm
screwed.
telling you to tweet today. So what is time anyway? Download the Sleep Talk app and
Yes.
send us what you hear. And we'll get to the bottom of whether or not we're all being possessed at night.
Yeah.
Melissa, where could people listen to us or follow us online?
You should subscribe to us and review us and rate us. If you like us, give us 5 stars. If you don't like us, please don't.
Yeah.
Because we don't need anything less than 5 stars.
No, I don't
What's
think
the
we
point
only
of
need
that?
5 stars.
Why would you rate someone 3 stars?
No, that's stupid. I would go for 4.
Only 5.
Only 5. Okay, only rate us 5 stars.
4 is fine, but 5 stars. You got
Or 4.5. Can you do 4.5?
No.
Oh, okay, so only do 5.
And then follow us on Twitter and Instagram at webcrawlerspod. And then email us with any weird sleep paralysis.
Where can people
stuff.
email us?
Webcrawlerspod@gmail.com.
Okay, cool. Stay safe out there and don't sleep.
Don't get eaten by the sleep demon.
Bye.
Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by Acast.